Hi, and welcome to this month's energy reading. Today, we're going to be talking all about the energies for the month of February 2024. These are messages I'm channeling in real time from the divine right here in front of you. So I don't really know what February is going to hold, but let's dive in. And I'm just going to close my eyes for a second to start getting the information, and let's see what February has to hold. And before I start, I also want to always remind you of your power and your free will choice. So there are high expressions of energies and timelines, and there are lower expressions of those energies and timelines. And whatever I say today is not necessarily like, oh, you're going to be experiencing for sure one thing or another. A lot of what you experience in the upcoming month depends on your choices, your free will choice, and know that every time that you choose what's loving for yourself, what's healing for yourself moment by moment, even if it is allowing maybe some down moments, downtime, to like down, like, I don't know, some people call them negative emotions. Maybe allowing those to just sit in those for a moment can be the most loving thing and will actually be the thing that kind of shifts you into the higher experience of the energies for the month. So what we're really talking about today are energetic themes, and how those play out in your life are highly dependent on basically all your decisions up until now. So I want you to know that everything that you experience every single day, not just in February, every day of your life, is a reflection of your conscious thoughts, your conscious decisions, your conscious actions, and a large percentage of that is subconscious as well, but meaning beneath your level of awareness. So the more you can look at your life through the lens of curiosity of like, wow, what is this particular situation scenario reflecting to me about myself in the past that I would like to maybe shift, love more, accept more. Maybe I need to process something a little bit more in order for me to move forward in my life. Towards the direction of the things that I do want to experience. So sometimes going into like the not good feeling stuff is the way through, and you will know by what you need to do each moment of your life by tuning in to, something beyond your mind, because the mind for a lot of people is controlled by the ego and unconscious patterns, which a lot of those aren't helpful. And a lot of people struggle with other people's energy being hooked into their mind. And so a lot of times the body can be a an amazing source of a different perspective, a different path forward, when the mind is kind of like infiltrated by energies that are maybe they're just not helpful, right? So out of the mind, into the body is something I say a lot if you haven't watched a ton of these videos. And it's something I'm going to continue to say every single month because it really is, I think, a way for us to create the life that we've never experienced before. Because a lot of the mind is, again, running on those patterns of the past, and those patterns of the past, it's really hard. It's almost like this film is across like your vision, what you can see, what you can experience in your life when you're just operating from up here. And it's a very like, it's almost, what do I want to call it? Like a filter, not a film, like a filter, like literally, a filter on Instagram or something where you can there's a filter here, that is a filter that was created by your past experiences. And so when we want to create something new in our life, it is immensely helpful to kind of be able to take that filter off, which is really, really hard for most people to do, unless you're very skilled in this area. And however, you can always start that path today, and the easiest path forward is to get in the body and really start to connect with the wisdom of your body, rather than letting the mind make all the decisions. And then on that path, you will start to kind of clean that filter up and have it be more of an accurate reflection of your reality. Of course, the work that I do one-on-one with my clients is a very accelerated way to clean that filter up. And you can find the links to all the offers that I currently have in the video, or like in the description of the video. So I just felt really called to go into that because I think a lot of times people can hear, maybe my energy updates or other people's energy updates, and they get fixated on certain aspects of that. And just know when you are focusing your effort and your attention on something, you are putting that energy towards that. So you can make new decisions every single day that will change your experience. So I just want you to know you have that power always and forever. No matter whose videos you're watching on the internet, you have the power to decide where your attention goes and what you focus on and how you want to create your life. Okay, so with that whole spiel out of the way, I really this is actually very much related to the energy of February. The energy of February, the very first thing that comes up is truth and trusting the truth. And so I really feel like 2024 is gonna, I talked about it in my last video a little bit, the energies of 2024, but they're starting to become more clear now. And basically, this is going to be a year where we're honing our discernment and really learning to understand our own truth at a deeper level. What is true for me? And so that's also why I prefaced this video with you have the power to decide what you want to do with your life. And just because somebody says, oh, this is the energy that's flowing through this month, um, and maybe you have things that come up that are unpleasant, that's just a reflection of your past. And so making choices in the present moment, it's so cliche. Everybody talks about the present moment, but it's literally one of the most important things if you are on this path of like living a heart-centered life, creating the life of your dreams, wanting to do good in the world, wanting to be of service, all these amazing things. Being present is the number one way to do that, because again, when we are in the mind, and we are often running off of old programs, other people's energy that's filtered in, your ego, which the ego is not necessarily a bad thing, but there's been a lot of ego stuff coming up energetically in the month of January. And I think this pattern is this energy is going to kind of continue throughout the whole year, because a lot of times what our ego has us believe is not actually our truth. And so this is going to be one way some people continue to experience this energy and this patterning of like learning what the truth is really being able to discern like when the ego is getting involved and when it's telling stories, because it sounds like it's actually very, I think most people think it's very easy to know when, oh, I'm just telling myself that story again. But I want to tell you that the more advanced you get into mastering your energy, your subconscious mind, and creating your reality, you will find that there are subtler and subtler ways that unhelpful patterns and the ego have been controlling your creations in life, maybe in not a helpful way to what you think is consciously helpful, but based on what was helpful in the past to you, which again, these are different things. And the way to move around that is to really get present. Because again, the ego and all that mind programming and all the other people's energies and stuff, like that's all based in the past, or sometimes we can project ourselves. If you have struggle with hypervigilance, overthinking, anxiety, that kind of thing, you often are also living in the future. You've probably heard this before, but really, I think this is like a message that we need to kind of look at the importance between these like cliche sayings of, being present is being able to really drop into the truth of the moment and your truth, which are two different things. The truth of what's showing up in the moment is again a reflection of past decisions, past maybe unresolved conflicts, past unresolved trauma, past good things that you've been putting out into the universe. It's not always like the negative thing, but again, the ego and the mind tends to like hone in on that negativity and like anchor on to that as like this is the truth, when your truth, like the real truth within you, is not actually defined by anything that's happening in your external reality. It's an expression of a truth of a moment in time, but your truth is something different than that. And I think the more we can connect in with our truth, which is like the true things that we are here to create, the true things that we truly desire outside of like societal standards and just like what what your parents told you should be doing with your life, all this stuff, all this pressure, and all the influence of other people's energy. It's a process to be able to kind of tune that out and quiet that out. It's a process of learning to connect inwards and know what that truth is outside of all the noise in the world, because most people were raised and also have like long genetic histories. Okay, this doesn't start with you, but you've probably experienced it in your life, but long genetic histories of basing their truth about who they are as a person, what they are allowed to want or desire, what they should want or desire in their life, what they should be doing with their life, based on the external reality, based on what other people are doing, based on what you see right now. And that's where a lot of people get hung up, especially when it comes to creating something new that you've never experienced before. It's two things that really hold us back. And one of those things is that filter that a lot of times, it's so normal for us to operate that way. And I just feel called to tell you like a little story about myself, just literally in the past couple of weeks, where I had this what you would call like an awakening. That's what the process of awakening. You hear that online a lot, like I had a spiritual awakening. All that is it's taking a layer of that filter off, and you're like, whoa, I wasn't able to see it like that before. I didn't see that truth before. I didn't know that about myself before. And that is the process of awakening, is stripping away all those layers to get to your truth. And that way you can just like be just so pure in your intentions, pure in your direction in life, pure in your actions, pure in like the way you direct your energy. And that is a practice and a process. So not an invitation to get perfectionist on yourself about it. That's what you came here to learn and do and master. And we all have different ways we learn and do and master that expression of our authentic energy. Okay. Well, the story. The story is that so growing up, I grew up in what I think is, so this is how the filter gets created, is that things become normalized. And there's a lot of things that are normalized in our current society that I think we'll look back on in even like 20, 40 years and be like, whoa, that was totally actually not normal, but I didn't know anything different. So Yeah, it appeared normal to me. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't question it. And again, I said can feel some of you like going into doubt, going into the perfectionist mode of like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to look back in 20 years and be like, whoa, I thought something was normal that was actually really bad for me. That is that the process of going through that is normal. That is like a normal human process of awakening where you one day have a perspective that you're like, this works for me. It's good for me right now. And then one day you're like, whoa, that doesn't work anymore because I've grown and evolved as a human. So, like, please refrain from the desire to like beat up on yourself or shame yourself or be like, I should have that now. I shouldn't be like, I don't want to like look back in 20 years and say I was doing it all wrong. I want to be perfect right now. It's like we really have to let go of that. And that I just want to draw your attention to that because that is one of those filters. That is one of those filters. So if you're like, yeah, I kind of feel myself going into that where I'm like, or maybe you can't even like really feel it, but you're like, something is like tingling in your body, or you're like, ooh, you have like a feeling where it's like, yeah, I feel kind of uncomfortable with this idea where I may not be getting it right now. Right. And that in 20 years, I'm gonna look back and be like, whoa, holy cow, like what was I doing there? I don't know. Like that's judgment, and that's part of perfectionism filter. So that's why getting into the body is important, because some of these things are so subtle. Okay, but my story is that I grew up in a very chaotic environment, but I think a lot of people would look on it at it as a very normal upbringing. um my family didn't, I was definitely like middle class, like my family didn't have money problems, like, but what was going on in my family situation, was a mother who was, and I have her, so I have her energetic permission to discuss this. But I actually don't need her permission, so that's one of my filters, FYI. But she's passed on, and I have a relationship with her energetically, and this is part of the reason why I went through this, is to be able to talk to you about like real stuff. This is like the real deal of life here. But anyway, she was very quick to anger, very dysregulated as in her nervous system, and just very overwhelmed, very stressed out all the time. I literally don't remember a lot of my childhood in general, which is a sign that you definitely had a lot of moments where you were feeling afraid, like big time. And by the way, I don't fault any of my parents for this. However, I've gone through plenty of emotions where I have, and I probably still have more of like grieving that childhood that I didn't want to have necessarily, but I needed to have that for me to be the person I am today. So that's being able to look at things the higher perspective, but honoring the emotions along the way is key, and being able to really integrate the higher perspective in a healthy way. Because I was just talking about this on my Instagram the other day, where people just tend to see that higher perspective like, oh, I needed to go through that for me to like, this is my purpose. I'm here talking to you about the story that happened to me, and I know it's going to help somebody out there, whether that's today or in 10 years, I don't know, but I know somebody's going to benefit from me telling this. So I see that higher perspective. And so this has been my story for the last month of how I've really just come to acknowledge a deeper layer of emotions, a deeper layer of how that truly impacted me negatively. And it's not just my mom. So my mom, but I won't go too much into, I understand why she was the way she was, with me growing up. And it also, we can hold both. This is like the real work of like being able to hold both truths, right? Of like, I can see why my mom was like this. Like, she had a ton of pain and grief and sadness, and that she didn't know how to deal with. And so she was overwhelmed. She was like, on high alert, high alarm all the time because she didn't have the tools. And I have so much compassion for her. And living in that environment, especially as a child that didn't understand those things at that time, had extreme detrimental effects on me. It's actually part of where my perfectionist patterns come from because I learned very quickly the more I could suppress my own emotions, my own needs, and just do whatever she wanted me to do. And the better I did it, the more calm she was. So these are the real patterns that drive us. And so without going too much into it, I wasn't able to see until the last couple of weeks. I was ready for the awareness, because that's the thing too, is like sometimes you're just not ready. Like my mom, she wasn't ready to deal with all that pain. She didn't have the tools to deal with all that pain. So she was just doing what she knew how to do. And on one hand, there's nothing wrong with that. And on the other hand, that has really real it had a real impact for me, and it still does in not a really great way. And so last month I was really diving into that for myself of like, wow, I don't think I've really admitted to myself the pain that caused. And when we had the courage, so courage was one of the words that came up for 2024, and I think that's going to continue with February all through the year, is like truth and courage and trust. They're like best buds, right? And so you're going to be, I think, presented with opportunities for you to own your truth of the moment. So for me, what that looked like last month was like, wow, I think I'm suppressing some major emotions around this, and I have been, and I didn't even know I was aware. I had no idea that I was doing that. And wow, I actually see how this is impacting my entire life, my business, my relationships, my health, and holy shit, I didn't even know that that was going on. That is how these filters get built. And why I built that filter of like, yeah, it was hard, but it wasn't that bad. Like, I'm fine. That's a survival mechanism. It's an adaptation mechanism. It's a coping mechanism. So, I think February, we are going to be faced with some coping mechanisms that may no longer work, and maybe you are already feeling this energy where it's like, I'm starting to understand maybe a deeper layer of my truth, you know, and how maybe I haven't been honoring that truth, and maybe how these coping mechanisms and the pain of the past have um muddied my path. So there's that, and have also left me feeling confused, left me feeling ungrounded, and in ways that I actually couldn't even admit to myself, that I had no awareness of. So sometimes when we get those moments of truth and clarity, like so many of us are like, please give me the clarity in like what I'm supposed to be doing in this area of my life. But when it drops in, sometimes the clarity is not necessarily the answer to the thing. It's like the part of yourself that you need to look at, you need to honor as part of your truth, the part of you need to love. And then the answer drops in. But like so many of us are like, I don't want to do that. No, no, no. But sometimes that is the way forward. And I think this is actually just going to be a huge theme for humanity. So the more you can embrace this process of like being fearless and courageous and like, okay, I see this pattern now and I was completely oblivious to it. Like that's a huge ego check, right? Most people can't even do that because they're like that, the ego loves to control, and we control reality through these filters that we build up. And suddenly when we get to a little peak of like what's beyond that filter, it can be very jarring for a lot of people and very confrontational, like, whoa, oh, I don't want to admit that about myself. I don't want to go into that. And I just want to remind you that the most loving thing that you can do, if, and I imagine if you are a being that is watching this, you're watching this now, you made it this far, like you are definitely on the path of love in this life. I feel your heart, man. I feel it. Um, this is what it takes. It takes being like, okay, this is not pretty, this is not fun, but I'm going to look at it. And that's what we are doing. We are increasing our level of awareness. And so it is in those moments where we can just have the courage and like the truth, the trust within ourselves. So this is also an exercise of building trust. So I said trust and truth were big for February, but like trusting ourselves that when we look at that truth about ourselves and our lives and the way we've been operating, and especially if it's like something you had zero awareness of before, the more you can trust yourself that you're like, you don't go into those stories of like, I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm gonna judge myself for this. And more into like, I'm just gonna lean into this and see what's there. And I know this is coming up for my highest and best. And what I need to do right now is just allow this truth to be here. Allow me to recognize it, sit with it, feel all the ick associated with it. Maybe feel the judgment without believing the judgment. That is a really um amazing life skill that close to none of us have been taught. And I think that's also what we are learning this year is that what I would call like almost detachment or the witness, the loving witness. That's what it means is like when we're confronted with stuff about our own self, the way we've been showing up that has been like not contributing to the outcomes we want in life. First of all, know that that's a gift because that's being shown to you because you are on the path to what you want to create in your life. You can't get there without seeing that part of you that's sabotaging, unconsciously. It's unconscious. And the path of growth is growing that awareness. The problem is the ego likes to control even that. The ego likes to control that growth path and say, like, I'm only willing to look at the things like that I feel comfortable with. And that's good. But every once in a while, we get these blessings, and they are blessings of like, oh, I see this huge fucking blind spot that I did not even know was there. And the more we can say, thank you for the awareness, lean into the emotions, process it. What do I need to learn from this? That is the path forward to what you want in your life. So, these are not revolutionary concepts. They are not always fun concepts. And that's not to say that you won't experience amazing things in the month of February. It's like about embracing this process of life where it's like we operate one way and we're comfy and cozy in that. And then something comes along and it's like, well, that is not working. And holy cow, there's this whole box of stuff over here, energetically, emotionally, physically, mentally, maybe that I haven't been touching. And I need to address it because that is my path going forward. So, what do I want to say about that? Is there anything else? No. What I like to do at the end of these videos is give you a little taste of my healing work that I do with the subconscious mind so we can help kind of move through those blind spots faster. And sometimes you can clear, and sometimes, and I want to say always, I'm always clearing blind spots before they have a chance to kind of manifest in a really big way, because that's the thing is like, this is how life is. And it's like, I want this particular outcome in my life. I want love. I want happiness. I want joy. I want wealth. I want success. Well, you're going to have to go through all the blockages that you have internally to those things for you to experience it. And so, like, don't be fooled by what's online. And that's why there isn't, if you're like, I'm trying to be successful in my business and I'm following steps A, B, and C, this person, it worked for them. That's great. That's not to say that those things don't work. I would also say that your history, your genetic history, your past life history, and your belief systems are unique to yourself. And so you have to also kind of build your own path forward. You're going to have your own challenges that maybe not everybody has had. And so the more you can embrace the blind spots, as the answer that you've been looking for, the easier time you're going to have creating the life of your absolute dreams. And that takes immense courage and it takes immense trust in yourself. So, with my work, I can reprogram the subconscious mind instantly for you to have more trust. And we'll do a couple downloads here together in a second where you can receive some of that reprogramming and energy. But trust is also an action. And it is that courage and that faith and the willingness to look at the things that most people won't look at. And that's why a lot of people don't have the happiness. They don't have the joy. They don't have the success. They don't have the relationships because they're not willing to look at all the stuff they've got buried that is separating them from the outcome they want. So this is literally my life's work, and I think the life's work of everybody, but it's like, what flavor are you choosing? What are you focusing on in this life? And if you want to learn more about this, I also have a free masterclass. It's called The Energetics of Manifestation. That's what we're kind of talking about today, how to manifest your life. And if you want to dive into more of the energetics of how that actually works, I invite you to take that class. Okay, let's do some downloads. First, I would love to all you have to do is say yes if you want these. They're like energetic instructions that instantly reprogram your cells, your body, your mind, your soul, and how or what something feels like that you've never had before. So can I just download what it feels like for you to trust yourself fully and completely, no matter what is showing up on the external reality of your life? If you like that, go ahead and say yes. Mm. And I also just feel called to send a healing to you anytime you felt like um, you could only trust yourself when things were under complete control in your life. If you'd like that healing, go ahead and say yes, and I'll send that to you energetically. Because again, that's that ego, like, wants to control. It's like, if everything's under control, then I'm in trust, but that's not real trust. That's codependency. And can I download that you know the difference energetically, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually between trusting yourself and codependency? Because again, if we are placing that on the external reality of like, I only can feel these states of being when everything's going perfect in my life, universe is going to be continually smacking you with things so you can develop that trust within that isn't dependent on how your life is going. And ironically, when you can accept those things, they like instantly alchemize, and you may be very surprised how quickly things shift in your life for the better. So we spent a lot of time talking about kind of like the down stuff today, but like this is how you shift your life to the positive, to the things you want to experience. It is by going through the truth of the moment and the truth of what's going on in your body and looking at that through the lens of love. That's the most potent way to shift your life. And it's a practice. So, my last download I want to do for you is, can I download what it feels like to feel complete, whole, feel love for yourself, even when there may be things in your external reality that do not match your vision for your life, that are maybe hard, that may be challenging. And can I download what it feels like to have joy and fun along your journey in life? And that you can love yourself no matter what your external reality looks like, no matter what challenges you're facing, no matter what good moments, no matter what bad moments happen in your life. By the way, good and bad, it's ego. Ego is always like, this is bad, this is good. And usually it's like somewhere in between. um, And can I just download that you know how to love every single part of yourself, including your ego. When you catch yourself in your ego, you know, the ego gets a bad rep. It actually is a really beautiful thing. But that's a different video for a different day. But just can I download that you know how to love, see the truth of your ego and when it's interfering with your life in an unhelpful way, and still love every single part of yourself, including your ego. Okay. And can I download that you know how to believe that miracles and magic can happen for you in the month of February, and you know what that feels like, and that you were safe to experience that? Just go ahead and download that if you want that. Because really, guys, this what I've been talking about is the source of miracles and magic. So, like, we talked about like going into hard emotions and stuff and kind of being blindsided by our blind spots and things like that. But it is the source of miracles and magic. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. I have no idea how long this video was. I think it was too long. But anyways, if you like this video, I'd appreciate a like, a share, or you can comment. Let me know what you liked about this video. And I just wish you the most amazing February. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.